Hi there, Michael P. Coleman, Content Director for Brother Be Well. Thank you for watching Brother Be Well's Youth Substance Youth Prevention Series, supported by Elevate Youth California, funded through Proposition 64.
This next question I've got for you: what exactly do opioids do to the brain and to the body? And I'm talking about before you OD. What do those drugs do to us, brain and body?
Uh-huh. Well, in reference to the one last comment, which leads into this one, one of the things that I notice with a lot of young people is they still feel bulletproof. They still feel like all of the stuff that they hear about, yeah, but that ain't going to happen to me, because young people are able to bounce back pretty quick. What happens with these prescription drugs, any kind of opioid, and like you said, Michael, that we've had an opioid epidemic in the Black and brown community since the 60s.
Wow.
My best friend died of an opioid, a fentanyl overdose in 1981, where him and I both overdosed. I woke up and he didn't wake up, and I think one of the things that happens with opioids is this very specific, especially prescription. If you just get a straight prescription opioid from the pharmacist, it's not been contaminated with fentanyl or cut with anything, just pure Oxycontin or Vicodin or Norcos, that's pharmaceutical grade heroin is what it is. It's pharmaceutical grade heroin. It's like top of the line, pure, uncut. Dentists used to prescribe cocaine. You could go to a dentist and dentists will give you cocaine back in the day. So what happens with the opioid is that they do a few things. One is it's a relaxant, so it calms you down. It's an anesthetic, so it takes away physical and even emotional pain. So it creates a euphoric sensation that you feel like, all is right with the world. I don't feel any pain. I feel relaxed and sedated and chill, and I'm not thinking psychologically about whether I'm walking right or talking right. So it produces this strong feeling of euphoria and well-being instantly. And it lasts, depending on the drug, it lasts for hours. And some people are really prone to that. Some people don't like feeling sedated, and they take an opiate, a prescription pill, and they say, I hate that feeling. And some people just love it. Like me, I loved it. I found just what I was looking for. What happens over time is that you need more to get the desired effect. So you develop what we call a tolerance. So it used to take you 2 pills, then it takes 3, then it takes 4. The longer you use it, the more you need to get the desired effect. And the effect is that increased sense of well-being and euphoria and lack of pain, physical and psychological. Eventually what happens is that, also when you get to that point where you have a tolerance, if you try to stop, you get sick. You get violently sick. You get like flu-like symptoms multiplied times 10. It's miserable. You get diarrhea. You get body aches. You can't sleep. You just feel horrible. So the withdrawal is the opposite of the effect. So you got euphoria. Now you feel miserable. You get constipated with those pills. Then you get diarrhea. You have no pain. And then you got pain all over the place. So people are afraid to stop, because when they try to cut down or cut back or quit, they get physically sick. So they use more and more and more. And most people, you won't die from opioid withdrawal, but you can die from opioid overdose. And that's how we lose people. Not even counting being cut with fentanyl. And I have people whose drug of choice is fentanyl. I have clients, that's their drug of choice now. I know, because they know they're getting the most they can get. This is this close to I'm getting high as I can possibly get, and I think I can handle this. And as long as it's pharmaceutical grade, you might be able to handle it, but all it takes is one bad experience and you're done. And so what happens is that prior to overdosing, you just basically you fall asleep. Basically, you just get so sedated that your whole system shuts down, and people literally nod out, nod off, and they're gone. And they don't know it. They just take so much. I can't tell you how many people I've seen sitting by a table with pills on the ground that they chopped up and tried to snort, and that's their last position, in a state of using. People die of opioids usually in the state of using. They laid down, went to sleep, never woke up. They nodded off and nodded right out, and that was it.
Listening to y'all tell this, I've got a lot of vices of my own. I've never yet been tempted by that enough to try it. And I have to tell from these personal experiences, I have to tell y'all, I don't think I'm gonna ever be doing anything like this. Let me share a few stats with you. And this is why I wanted to ask our youth this question. According to the National Institute of Health, almost 4% of adolescents and almost 8% of young adults misuse opioids. I thought that was a very high number. Most individuals misusing, as Roland pointed out a little bit earlier, got them for free. They got them from a friend or a relative or from a single prescriber. So that's why I think we really got to pay attention. 8% is pretty doggone close to 10%. So there's a lot of young people misusing these opioids, and as Roland has pointed out, is not a path we want to go down. Roland, what about you? What personal experience do you have with this stuff, if any?
Well, from a professional perspective, I see a lot of people wind up on opioids because they get prescribed them. They have a legitimate reason to take a narcotic, a prescription narcotic. So they have a root canal, they break their arm, they get in a car accident for whatever reason. The doctors don't want you to be in any pain, and so they'll prescribe you an opioid. And what they don't warn you adequately about is the addictive nature of these particular drugs. If Mother Teresa took Vicodin every day for 2 weeks, Mother Teresa would be dependent on Vicodin.
I didn't mean to jump on you there, Roland. You just reminded me. I had a foot injury years ago and got prescribed Vicodin. I didn't know anything about Vicodin, and luckily I changed insurance and I changed doctors. And you know, when you get a new doctor, you got to tell them what you're taking. I will never forget the look on that guy's face when I wrote it all down, and he looked at me and he said, "How often are you taking this?" I said, "As needed." And he said, "Well, how often do you need it?" And I said, "Well, when my foot really starts to hurt, once or twice a month. Usually I can get through it, but it's only when it's bad." He said, "Go home, throw it away right now." And this was at the beginning of, I mean, it scares me a little bit when he told me how addictive it was. And he said, "Dude, if you'd have said twice a week instead of twice a month, you'd already be addicted to it." Before we move on, Aldo, what about you? You have any personal experience with this stuff?
Yeah, personally, I don't have anyone who has suffered from an overdose or any family members at the moment, but I've had a few friends in high school who went through that phase, the end of the year, close when they're 18, 19, 17 years old. And I would start to notice, a change in their appearance, in their weight. So it was pretty obvious that they were on something, or whether it was cocaine, because a lot of, in my community and stuff, a lot of the kids, they would go from alcohol to marijuana, and then, okay, what's more, right? Cocaine. So cocaine was a big issue, and luckily I didn't have any overdoses. But me personally, there was a time in college of like 2 years ago where I thought, I'd be open to it. I'd be open to trying cocaine if I'm in the environment and setting of at a party or at a club or at a bar, or if my friends want to do it, okay, yeah, I'm open to it. And that was just because other people have done it, and I don't think it's a stigma or saying, but there's a phrase going around with my friends and in my community and in my high school, that there are more people doing cocaine than about. They just don't really say anything, they don't post it, but there are people out there doing it. It's more common than you think. That's what I was trying to say. So that was kind of a shock to me, and I thought, oh, well, if they're doing it, why not give it a shot? Why not give it a try? There are people who have told me what cocaine feels like, what it feels like for them, what have they done, and I was a little bit more open to it. But up until this summer, doing the youth academy over the summer with Brother Be Well, I 180. I was like, nope, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna even one time. I don't want to risk my, my emotional health, my physical health, and if I love it, I know I'm going to be addicted to it. So I'm probably not going to do that and step away from it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, although I don't mean to plug that Summer Institute. So it's better when you do it. I wasn't eligible for the Youth Institute, but I was just behind the scenes listening, and I had the same reaction with what y'all were talking about. I said, I'm not going there. I'm not getting anywhere close to that. So appreciate y'all sharing.
Hello, my name is Ted Gatia. I'm 26 years old, and I currently stay in Los Angeles, California. I'm making this video basically to kind of talk a little bit about what my experience has been like during the program. I really enjoyed myself. I thought it was such an amazing opportunity. So amazing. Mental health is the most important thing in my life. There's nothing more important than how I feel about myself and how I feel, how sane I am, how much I encourage myself, how I try not to get sick. Like basically anything having to do with self-growth is the most important thing in my life. And I went through a lot, like a lot of people in this, I guess like a lot of mentors in this program, I went through severe depression and, just a lot of mental health concerns. And the fact that I was able to do a program like this, that it was 100% based off of the most important thing in the world to me. The fact that it was 100% based on that, and the fact that there was space to do, because the thing is, when I wasn't working, when I wasn't doing the internship thing, I was, majority of the time I was working on my mental health. So the fact that this internship was structured in a way where it allows someone like me to, once I'm done, giving myself in this group, to step aside and kind of and now work on myself. It's just so amazing. It's such an amazing program. Absolutely amazing. I 200% recommend it. Happy that I did it. It was amazing. It was so helpful. It wasn't the easiest. There are a lot of, I am not the most outgoing, and I wouldn't say I struggle, doing things that involve other people, but I definitely prefer to be private and stuff. The mentors, the presenters, really knew their stuff. They were on top of it. They came prepared. They really knew what they were talking about. The host, Justin Martinez, Michael, Michael Coleman, Christine Smith. I love Christine especially. And I wasn't really sure if Conrad Crump was and I guess he was an official facilitator. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it kind of seemed like he was, but all of them, they were really great. And I wasn't always the most comfortable, but they were great. So I loved the experience. 200% recommended. 200%.